Good evening and welcome to the April 20th meeting of the Glenville Town Board. Please rise for the invocation and pledge allegiance. Dear God, we thank you for this day and all its blessings. We ask that you guide our work and our actions tonight, and that you instill in each of us the responsibility we have to our town and its residents. Remind each of us here that we are all members of this community, and such let us work together in the spirit of friendship. We ask this in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Councilman Martin?
Here.
Councilman Pittleton?
Here.
Councilman Dula?
Here.
Councilwoman Wozzowski? Here. Supervisor Ketzler?
Here, as most of you see, there's agendas up front. We'll go through agenda fairly quickly, I believe. We do have an executive session at the end, so we'll put that after item number 14. And that's an executive session to discuss matters related to a potential legal issue. We don't anticipate coming out and doing any further business after that, so you're obviously free to stay here, but I wouldn't recommend it since we plan on getting out after the executive session. So with that, I'll start with town council reports. On my left, Councilman Boulon.
Welcome this evening, sir.
Councilwoman Wozzowski.
Mr. Supervisor, the much heralded dog park has opened. The Anderson Dog Park has opened. It's been in the paper, it's been on Facebook, but just so everybody's aware, it's open now. You can obtain your tag and access to the park from the town clerk's office. It's a $25 fee for non-residents of the town of Glenville or Scotia, but for 50, excuse me. My apologies, you have two emails more than I do.
And that covers two dogs.
Oh, for two
It's
dogs.
50 for one or two.
Okay. Anyway, Glenville residents and Scotia residents are free of charge. And so if you have any more questions, you can go onto the town website and it has all the rules and regulations and things. We will be having in June a grand opening ceremony than we did the other day because we're still waiting on some equipment to come in, but it's going to be pretty neat. So encourage everyone with canine friends to use it.
Thank you. Councilman Martin.
Yes, a couple things. Attended the Neighborhood Association meeting last night for Woodlawn. I imagine we'll have more to report on that. And also the next two chapters of the comp plan have been drafted and released to the Residents Committee and the Comp Plan Committee. I believe they were transportation and emergency services, so it's getting there, and we're getting pretty close to having a cover-to-cover document.
Thank you. Councilman Pittleton.
No report.
Excellent. So we'll go right into the very next item on the agenda, which is the emergency response recognition ceremony. And I would like Clem to the podium. Kick it off.
Mr. Supervisor, Board, thank you for allowing me to take some time up with your agenda this evening. I'll try and keep it brief. I know you have lots of business to attend to. Plus, my son's playing at the Muley Page Indian Meadows, so we're anxious to get over there.
How do you like those roads?
They are terrific. All right. Let me introduce myself for those who don't know me. My name is Clem Shimikowski. I'm an Emergency Response Hazardous Materials Officer for the Canadian Pacific Railroad, and also the State of New York Transcare Coordinator. And I'll explain a little bit more about where those roles come in here in a minute. While we're here tonight, there's been a chain of events that have happened. And the first kind of link in that chain is an organization called Transcare. Transcare stands for Transportation, Community Awareness, and Emergency Response. It was a national outreach organization started in about the mid-'80s by the Dow Chemical Corporation. It was designed to bring chemical industry, transporters, and first responders together before an incident happens so they can be better prepared. At 3 in the morning, when someone's having their bad day, is not a time to be standing on the side of the roadway changing business cards or shaking hands or trying to figure out who's who. So this outreach program took a strong foothold. It has grown exponentially over the past couple of decades. It's now a national program, has gone international to Canada. There are state coordinators, regional coordinators, and then the national board that sits in Washington, D.C. One of the big premises that we emphasize is training first responders. Whether it's transportation incidents, whether it's in the water, rail, anything. And we do a lot of training in local firehouses. So now we come to our kind of our second link in that chain, and that is the railroads. In 2013-14, the railroad saw an uptick in the transportation of flammable liquids. And if you're watching the news, obviously that's the crude oil that's out there. So the 7 big railroads chipped in $5 million each and built a training facility out in the desert of Colorado. This training facility has live rail cars with live fire, and firefighters can now attend a 3-day course. The first day is pretty much classroom, and the next 2 days are actually fighting live fire. The railroads, we pick up the bill for this. We need to get the firefighters out there. We recognize the importance. We pick up the tab. We pay for everything from tuition, airfare, ground transportation, hotel. Pretty much you get to your local airport, we'll take it from there, and we'll get you back home. The only thing we ask for in return is when you go back to your home fire department, is share some of that information. Okay? Our classroom seats 40 comfortably, and with how many million firefighters out there in the United States, we're not going to get all of them out there. So we ask that you take some of that information back. So now we kind of come to that next link in the chain. In 2014, CP Rail had some space in a classroom. I contacted the chief of East Glenville and said, we have an opportunity to send 4 people. Who would you like to send? So he quickly rattled off some names that he thought would be appropriate to send, and who we're going to recognize tonight, so I'm guessing he chose the right people. Yeah. But the interesting part of that, too, was that in talking with the chief, he didn't choose himself. He chose these members from other departments. And I'll follow that up here in a minute. But what makes these 4 firefighters that went so special is that when they came back home within weeks, they designed a company level or firehouse level training program, was sharing it with the other members, doing what we really asked for them to do. And now they've taken that a step further and they've gone to other fire departments. And so they're really spreading the information and the wealth of knowledge that they gained. And on behalf of Transcare and CP Rail, we greatly appreciate that. So then it came time for awards. I got notice that Transcare was offering recognition awards. Without any hesitation, I put these gentlemen in, explained what they had done. They went to Washington, D.C. The board reviewed it, and they felt the same way, that they had certainly exemplified the ideals of Transcare and training and preparing communities for an emergency. So we have 4 awards for that. We have another award tonight that goes back to the chief of East Glenville that got that original first phone call. I said, he didn't say, I'm going, my assistant chief's going, all my buddies were going. He actually sat there and said, okay, let's spread the wealth around. Okay? We'll do as many fire departments that we can and do the best bang for the buck for the town of Glenville. And for that, CP appreciates that, and so does Transcare. It really stands up to the ideals of what community preparedness is about. So with that, we have the awards. Want me to call them forward first?
I'll probably read the proclamation.
Okay.
Just, you said it was $5 million per railroad company, 7 railroad companies?
Yes. Yep, so the Class 1 railroads, there's a rating of railroads. CP Rail is considered one of the big boys. We're one of the smaller big boys, but we're still up there. So yeah, we all went in and did the course development and all the props and the training materials that go into it.
Thank you, Clem. My first question is there something you can do about those trucks hitting that bridge?
I wish, because I receive a page as well every time that happens.
Yesterday, I think we had 2 hitting 2 different bridges. On behalf of the board, I just wanted to take a moment. We have some proclamations here for the firefighters. First of all, I just want to express our appreciation to you, all the members of your departments, for all the work you do. I think the past couple of days have shown with obviously the Dairy Circus fire and the house fire here on Cherry, how important you are to the community and the work that you do, and we very much greatly appreciate that. And I think we share something. I think every one of our employees belongs to one of your departments, either somewhere along the line. So we do have a couple proclamations here. They all really pretty much say the same thing, except for Chief Poles is a little bit different. just expressing our appreciation in your leadership. I won't read the whole thing because it's kind of long, but you can read it tonight if you like before you go to bed and think of me because I signed it. Chief Pohl determined that this training will best suit the town's needs by selecting individuals from various fire departments to ensure the cooperative informational exchange within all the town's fire districts. I, Christopher A. Ketzley, do hereby bestow our greatest appreciation and highest honor on Chief Andrew Pohl. So that's yours, Chief. When you come up for your award, we'll make sure you get that. And then a proclamation to the rest of the folks here tonight. I see Assistant Chief Thornhill's not here tonight.
He was unable to make it.
It's too bad. But we can make sure you get it. But we do, in honor of this, we do, through proclamation, are hereby proclaiming today, Thursday, April 21st, 2016, as Firefighter Training Appreciation Day throughout the town of Glenville. And on behalf of the citizens of the town of Glenville, we do hereby offer our thanks to the individuals for their ongoing commitment to the town of Glenville. So we will make sure you get these as well as Glenn continues to call you up. So again, thank you so much for all you do, for your commitment, the training that you've committed to make sure that you're providing the best service to our residents. Please give them a round of applause.
I'll just throw one more little footnote in there that, as I kind of rambled on, I forgot about. What sets these gentlemen apart is that we've sent, this year will be 450 firefighters to this course, and these are the only 4 gentlemen that have done this. So, but I can do it from here. Scotia Lieutenant Jim Jones. Air National Guard Captain and East Glenville Fire Department Past Chief John Sock. Outlaws Fire Chief Andrew Pohl. And East Glenville Fire Chief Andrew Pohl.
Can we get one, maybe we bring the board down and maybe get a picture if we can all squeeze in. I know between Jim and these big guys here, we'll go short and does someone have a camera that we can,
I've got one in here, Phil.
can you give me a still?
Yeah.
You fit us all and so we can double up if you can. Who's the short?
I don't want to knock it over. Yeah, right.
Typically, when people come for these special things, they like to leave. You can certainly stay if you like. If you want to leave, we'll give you 2 minutes to clear the room. A lot of your beepers going off. So you don't have to go.
Call me at 7:20.
Bye, Chief. Sure, I'll clear the wall. Move to the next portion of our meeting, which is privilege of the floor. We have 2 folks signed up. We'll take them in order. And then if anyone else wishes to speak, just raise your hand and we'll invite you to the podium. So the first person signed up is Peter Look.
Hello, my name is Pete Looker. I live at 1965 Amsterdam Road in Westwood neighborhood across from Old Domination Trucking on the river. And I've been here before, but I'm here again because after 2 years, the lights, the illegal lights that Old Dominion put up are still up there. They haven't changed them. They came by a few months ago and said they were going to change them. We suggested they try changing one and let the neighbors know, and we would tell them if it's shining on our property or not. We haven't heard a thing from them. I think it's been about 3 months. I don't keep exact track of all these details. So I'd like the town to enforce the law. They violate the law, the letter of the law, the intent of the law. 3 sections in particular, 270-65K, glare, whether direct or reflected, whether from floodlights or high temperature processes, shall be confined to the property in which it is generated. 271, the intent that nearby properties and/or neighborhoods are not significantly impacted as a result, either through environmental impacts, visual effects, or through reduction in property values. 270-74, off-street loading. E, lights. Lights used to illuminate loading areas shall be configured in a manner so as not to reflect upon adjoining properties or streets. Light sources shall be shielded and projected downward. Off-street parking. All lighting associated with parking areas will be directed into the parking area and away from the adjacent properties and public right-of-way. I'll show my little picture here again. I'm just the son of an engineer, but this is basically the illegal lights and what legal lights would look like. You put a shade on that, kind of like a shower, and it aims down here on their property. What they have is this, without shields, that are aiming up here and over here and over here and trespassing on our property. Over 1,000 feet away, I can read in the bedroom without a light on. My lights are lit, my trees are lit up 60 feet in the air. I've lost like 2/3 of the stars that we used to be able to look at night. It's been over 2 years now, and it gets kind of frustrating. So I guess I'd suggest that perhaps the town could enforce the law the same way the town enforces the law if somebody doesn't mow their grass down to 7 inches. If they don't do anything about it, then the town could serve them a ticket for violating the law. And if they continue to, then perhaps the town could go in and actually put shields on the lights and re-aim them and then charge them for that process. A couple of things that the neighbors have mentioned to me over the last 2 years, why they should be aimed down and why the law should be followed. Number one, that they're inconsiderate. Now, it's a corporation, but they're people sort of, so it's an inconsiderate corporate person. It spoils our night lights, it wastes money, it wastes energy. In this time of conserving energy, they're wasting 2/3 of their light, a couple thousand hours worth of light, assuming they're paying full price, for nothing, to light up the neighborhood. It actually is too light. Even their lighting person mentioned when I said it takes a couple of minutes for your eyes to adjust from a extremely well-lit place to a road when you're driving. I said it takes 2 or 3 minutes to do that. That was my understanding. Their light person said, no, it takes about 15 minutes. So in addition to hassling us, they're actually creating unsafe situations for their drivers, because their drivers are then going out onto our streets, onto the state highway, and onto the thruway with less than vision they should have if they weren't so overlit when they're in that glare. I'll leave it there. I'll deal with this next time for the other things, but I appreciate it if that was fixed sometime soon.
Thank you. Next person we have on our list is Stephen Hilden.
As you know, Stephen Helding, I live on 491 Wet Wax Road. And we've had some discussion about this, but I wanted to bring it up again and officially. And that is for requiring an amusement park permit for a place that falls underneath, a business that falls underneath the description as it's written in the code. And we have talked about this, but the code specifically says the definition includes the operation of mechanical equipment designed for entertainment, exclusive of equipment ordinarily classed as playground equipment. Now, there's also been some discussion about whether it's the purvey of the town or the state, but everyone's probably familiar with the fact that there is state code, and then when you go to a municipality, their code will take precedence over the state code. You have to at least meet the state code, but then the municipality code then also needs to be enforced. So the state would be considered a minimum. The other thing that's been discussed is that this is taken care of by the state, but the town code is specific in requiring this permit, and it also doesn't step into where the state is required to inspect the course for their requirements. So what the charter is in there is the issuance of denial of a permit is at the discretion strictly of the town board. And it's due to the consideration of health, safety, and welfare of the people. So basically, I'm on behalf of myself and also the Keep It Rural organization, and we want to urge the members of the board to enforce the requirement of an amusement park permit for this business, and then also based on the criteria that sets forth in the code and substantiated by the stated position in public by the board members of this being the wrong place for it, to deny the permit. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard at privilege of the floor? Anyone else going to consider?
John Van Fleet. I'd like to add to that my big recommendation tonight is that Mr. Slaney apply for a permit. Since the Glenville Code clearly states that he has to have one to operate. And the penalty is clearly stated as $200 a day, 15 days in jail for violation, and each day of operation is another 200 and another 15 days. I urge him to apply for a permit. I recommend it strongly.
Mr. Van Fleet, we know you're a resident, but just for the record, if we could have your address.
2042 Waters Road.
Thank you. Sir, we ask that you come to the podium. Thank you. And again, just state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joe Berman, and I live at 2134 Waters Road, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak in front of you this evening. This is the second time that I've been before this board to talk about this particular subject matter, and I'll keep my comments brief. It's absolutely no secret at all that there's some pretty strong neighborhood opposition to the adventure park that's going in up on Weatherwax Road, and I live on the road directly at the next road over on Waters Road. And I was recently informed that the owner-operator of the park was required to obtain a permit for amusement park devices prior to getting board approval for the initial set of approvals to allow the project to go forward. And I guess given that, and by the nature of the facility, its operation and its functionality, I strongly contend that the adventure park meets the code description of an amusement park, and therefore the owner-operator should be required to obtain an amusement park permit from the town board, and I strongly encourage you to enforce what I see to be the code and the code defining that particular facility as an amusement park. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard? Going once, going twice, seeing none, or now closed. Now, still on to supervisors' comments to the board. And just to piggyback on it, at the last work session, the town board had requested from the town attorney an opinion to be rendered on the interpretation of the code that was referenced. And I think the town attorney, we gave him 1 week. Today's 1 week. The town attorney is prepared with his memo. Be addressing the town board on that shortly. Not here, but the memo will be given to the board, and then still have the attorney's opinion. So we're progressing as planned on that, and we'll know more when we discuss this with Attorney Cuevas. Other than that, on other town business, as Councilwoman Rosowski already pointed out, the dog park is open. I think it's phenomenal. I just wanted to add to her comments that I think, Linda, in less than a week, we've had over 60.
We're up to 80.
Up to 80. It changes by the minute. But 80 dogs already taking part. And every time I go by that park, it's not full, it's not the right word, but it's being used. There are a lot of folks in there, so I think that's a great thing. Councilman Martin already talked about, I think, Let's Talk Business tomorrow night. It's our 5th annual Let's Talk Business Expo, 5:30 to 7:30 at the Water's Edge Lighthouse, the Terrace. Anyone plans to come, use you'll see a construction entrance off of Freeman's Bridge Road in front of Elmo's, to the side of Elmo's, to get to the Terrace. You can't get to the Terrace from the Lighthouse restaurant right now because of the construction of the hotel. So use that entrance, please. It's a little different this year. I think it's going to be very interesting. We're turning the presentation over to some local business owners to talk about their experiences and maybe their vision for the future. And so we have, as a panelist, we have some questions for Dave All, Vice President of the Gillespie Group, Peter Benerick, co-owner of Wolf Hollow Brewing Company, Tom Burke from Burke Companies, owns some property here, and Pat Populizio, the owner of Water's Edge Lighthouse. So what we're trying to do is to incorporate the different business corridors. So you have someone from the Business Technology Park, you have someone from Route 5, you have someone from Freeman's, and someone from Town Center talking about the vision going forward. If you do plan on attending, the general public, please respond, RSVP to us. You can use my email if it's easy enough, but we just want to make sure we have a proper head count for the event. The only other thing quickly, Councilwoman Rosowski and I attended the EIG meeting. We also attended the focus group of neighborhoods. It was the second in a series of undetermined how many yet, but we had a really, I think, good turnout for it. We had a good conversation that focused on codes and code enforcement, and I think residents got a lot from it, and I thank Paul and Terry for being there to provide their expertise, and I think it was good for us to hear some of the things they were saying as well. The next one is scheduled for Tuesday, May 24th at the Senior Center, 7 o'clock. That topic will be based on the questions we've been getting here at the town board meeting on privilege of the floor, based on public safety and traffic code enforcement. So we'll have Lieutenant Janik there to talk about that, specifically Route 5 and traffic enforcement on Route 5. So that will be, I think, interesting. We also, I think, Councilman Martin talked about, attended Woodhaven and the Outlaws Neighborhood Association previous week, and I think we had a good conversation with the residents. Their main focus for both of them were what's going on at Yates Farm. I think they were disappointed that they didn't know anything about it. I assured them that we really didn't know anything about it starting up, that it was approved in 2005 or 6 before we were even involved, and so it just kind of started up. But they were concerned about that. They're concerned about the Rexford Bridge construction and what impact that's going to have, particularly on Outlaws and Maple. They're concerned about the bridge over Outlaws Creek being constructed at the same time, so it's going to be very difficult to move around probably this summer between all the construction going on. And other than that, I think, concerned about the straightening of Maple at Ronald Reagan Way. So really, when you look at it, I don't know if they planned it this way, but you're going to have construction all around Outlaws and Woodhaven this summer, which is going to be a little bit challenging. Staff met with Delaware Engineering on the sewer study that was commissioned through the grant we received through the CFA. We scheduled for them to address the board at the May 11th work session, so they'll be presenting their final points after meeting with Dana and Tom on options for how we want to do this, if we can even afford it. So that will be on the May 11th agenda for the work session. Councilwoman Rosbowski and I attended the grand opening of Clink in the business park. I think that's a neat little business, not a little business, but neat business for here in Glenville, more jobs coming to Glenville. The Glenville Hannaford does have a program as of April 19th. You bring your cans and bottles in there. It's a streamlined way of getting your cans recycled. We're proud that the Capital Region Recycle Center is here in Glenville and down in one of the old GSA buildings. Great reuse of the building, and I thought that was a nice ribbon cutting event. We are also working on the municipal refinance fund. We've talked about this, the transportation hub. We had a meeting with the Department of State and all the folks who are interested in joining us on that venture. The Department of State likes the idea a lot. Burn Hills has offered their grant writer, so we're working in conjunction with Burn Hills School District and writing this grant to try to get money to study the potential for bringing this regional transportation hub together, sharing services, sharing employees, sharing all sorts of things, capital parts of the building. And so that's progressing. And we have to really do that in a fairly quick order because it's due in July, but we want to get it in earlier than that. Hotel groundbreaking, I know we talked about the Water's Edge, we're having a hotel groundbreaking ceremony on the 27th, if you can make it. Gina can't, but that will be, I think, John, you would like that you are. So we'll be doing some sort of ceremony there, breaking the ground. And lastly, opening day for baseball, where we'll be cutting the ribbon on the newly paved Indian Meadows roads, is May 7th. I know John's busy May 7th. This will be, John, the day that you're getting married, but if you want to bring your bride by, we'll let her cut the ribbon on the road.
I'll run that by her.
If you're not there, don't wait for you, right?
What better honor can you have in the road? But if you can make, actually it's in the morning. I know your event's not so later.
Oh, in the morning, okay.
Yeah, 10 o'clock. So you got plenty of time. And just on a financial note, we have some good news and some not so great news. Our mortgage tax revenue is actually slightly up than what we budgeted this year. Some of that has to do with just having a stable housing market. There's a lot of turnover right now in the market and houses are moving. We'll have probably a little better quarter coming up because of the hotel is a large, I think fairly large mortgage tax on that. But our Metroplex sales tax is down. And it's probably, I think Jason was telling me, the lowest since first quarter of 06?
Our lowest first quarter since 2010.
Oh, 2010. So it's basically one of the lower, below budget right now, when the assumption is just first quarter. So just to keep that in mind, some good news, some bad news. Maybe they'll offset.
I thought they just came over on the paper, it was one of their banner years, and we were going to receive more money.
This is 2016.
Oh, so 2015 was one of the banner years? So this year so far is not a banner year for them.
No, it's shocking in 2016.
So you don't see a press release so far? Anything else? Thank you. Okay, so we'll go back to the agenda and we'll go to item number 8, resolution authorizing the attorney for the towns to enter into an agreement with Glenwood Manor. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, petition and notice to review the assessment for taxation for 2015 tax year 2016, on the real estate owned by Nigro Group LLC in Glenwood Development, commonly known as 150 Dutch Meadow Lane in Glenville. Was duly served upon the assessor July 27, 2015. Whereas the township supervisor and assessor are prepared to enter into an agreement and stipulation of compromise and settlement for the differences as follows. That the proceedings for 2015 tax roll, 2016 tax year, in relation to the property be settled on the following terms and conditions. This settlement was made in resolution of all past and present claims and proceedings with respect to the subject property's real property tax assessment. Approval of this settlement and all required authorizations and enactments, by the necessary parties shall be made in good faith
as expeditiously as possible. If I said that properly. Pursuant to the real property tax law, section 727, the proceeding for 2015 tax roll and 2016 for tax year 2017 shall be settled by establishing the settlement of the parcel set above at $475,000 and establishing the value of the parcel at the assessed value of $4,707,000. Based upon partial completion of the improvements, the assessment value for 2017 tax year and tax roll and 2017-18 tax year shall be established at $10 million, with $575,000 as the value of the land and $9,425,000 as the value of the improvements based upon 100% completion of the improvements. That the comptroller is authorized to calculate the amount of any refund for the 2016 town highway special district taxes already paid, if any, and pay the same over the property owner upon receipt of fully executed stipulation. However, no refund will be made regarding 2015-16 school taxes already paid by the petitioner. All other improvements of the section shall apply to this settlement. That is, the property owner agrees not to bring another tax cert proceeding with respect to this property for the 3 years following the 2017 tax year unless the improvements on the property shall be destroyed, demolished, or removed, and the assessor agrees to maintain the assessment based upon the revised full market value for those 3 years unless required by additions, alterations, or capital improvements, or in the event of revaluation. Consideration hereof, the tax cert proceedings brought by the taxpayer shall be discontinued on the merits with prejudice and without cost to either party or against the other. The parties agree that the stipulation is entered into in good and valuable consideration, that it is the entire agreement of the parties that is made to resolve this litigation shall not be offered in any other proceeding by any other party, competent evidence of a fact that the stipulation may be filed in the office of Connecticut County Clerk and order may be entered based upon the stipulation by either party on notice to the other. Whereas it appears to be the best interest of the town to settle said matter as recommended by the supervisor and assessor without further attendant legal and appraisal costs. The property is located in Scotia School District. Be resolved, the town board, town of Glenville, hereby authorizes the town supervisor to enter into this agreement with Nigro and Glenville Development for the settlement of the tax cert.
There's a lot. I don't know if we need to read all these always, but thank you, Al. That was a good undertaking. Any other questions or comments? I do have probably one amendment to the resolution. It's second page, whereas it appears to be in the best interest of the town to settle said matter as recommended by the supervisor and the assessor. I would strike as recommended by the supervisor and the assessor. So I make a motion to strike that.
So you would say yours appears to be in the best interest of the town to settle said matter
Right.
without further attendance legal and appraisal costs.
It's irrelevant that it's recommended by the supervisor and the assessor.
I'll move it.
Second.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavano?
Yes.
Councilman Blunt?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, motion passes. So now we're back on the motion for the amended resolution, which would be Resolution 8A. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavano?
Yes.
Councilman Blunt?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, Resolution 9, authorizing the attorney for the town to enter into an agreement with Trustco Bank. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, petition and notice to review the assessment for taxation for the tax years 2011 to 2016 of the real estate owned by Trustco, commonly known as 1 Serenowski Drive in Glenville, was duly served upon the assessor. The town, through its attorney and assessor, are prepared to enter an agreement and stipulation of compromise and settlement of their differences as follows. that the proceedings for tax years 2011 through 2016 in relation to the property be settled on the following terms and conditions. This settlement was made in resolution of all past and present claims or proceedings with respect to the subject's property, real property tax assessment. Approval of this settlement and all required authorizations and attachments by the necessary parties shall be made in good faith and be expeditiously as possible. Pursuant to real property tax law, section 727, a proceeding for 2014 and later years shall be settled by establishing the assessment of the property at the revised full market value of $3,667,000, multiplied by the application equalization rate for that year. The comptroller is authorized to calculate the amount of any refund for 2011 through 16 town, highway, and special districts already paid, and to pay same over to the property owner upon receipt of fully executed stipulation. All other provisions of the section 727, including RPTL 727-2, shall apply to this settlement. That is, the property owner agrees not to bring another tax or proceeding with respect to this property for the 3 years following the affected tax year, unless the improvements on the property shall be destroyed, demolished, or removed, and that the assessor agrees to maintain the assessment based on revised full market value for those 3 years, unless required by additions, alterations, or capital improvements, or an event of reevaluation. In consideration hereof, the tax or proceedings brought by the taxpayer shall be discontinued on the merits, with prejudice and without cost of either party or against the other. Parties agree that the stipulation is entered to for good and valuable consideration, that it is the entire agreement of the parties that is made to resolve this litigation and shall not be offered in any other proceeding by that party as competent evidence of the fact that the stipulation may be filed in the office of the Schenectady County Clerk and order may be entered based upon stipulation by either party on notice to the other. Whereas it appears to be the best interest of the town to settle said matter as recommended by the attorney for the town and the assessor without further attendant legal appraisal costs. Whereas the property is located in Scotia School District and the district has no opposition to the proposed settlement. Be resolved that the town board of the town of Glenville hereby authorize the attorney for the town to enter into agreement with Trustco Bank for the settlement of the tax year proceeding brought relative to the property known as 1 Saranowski Drive. Do you want me to go through these on the other side? I appreciate that.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Blunt?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 10, adopting local law number 5 to amend chapter 255 of the Vehicle and Traffic Code. Do I have a motion?
So,
A second.
I'll second it.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
oh, Mr. Supervisor, luckily mine's a lot smaller. The town board of the town of Glenville has been considering a local law to amend chapter 255 of the Vehicle and Traffic Code of the town of Glenville. And this town board has held a public hearing on March 16, 2016 at 7 p.m., at which time all parties in interest were afforded an opportunity to be heard and to publicly comment on the amending of the code of the town of Glenville set forth above. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Glenville does hereby establish a local law to amend the code of the town of Glenville to adopt local law number 5 of 2016 and amend chapter 255 of the Vehicle Traffic Code as set forth below, which is no parking, standing, stopping, or parking of vehicles, and to add Weather Racks Road its entire length.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Blunt?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 11, authorizing town clerk to issue permit regarding an outdoor entertainment at the Mohawk Valley Marina. Do I have a motion?
So
Do I have
moved.
a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, whereas application dated February 24, 2016, pursuant to the code of the town of Glenville, Dragons Alive Inc. of Albany has applied for a permit to conduct an outdoor amusement entertainment event at the Mohawk Valley Marina, 47 Mohawk Ave in Outlaws, to raise money for the Regional Food Bank
on Sunday, July 24th, 2016, from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Whereas said application has been referred to the Chief of Police, Town of Glenville, and the respective fire chiefs of the area in which said entertainment will be conducted in the Schenectady County Environmental Health Department as required by the code of the Town of Glenville. No, therefore, be resolved by the Town Board of the Town of Glenville that said application of Drag Is Alive Inc. be and hereby be approved. Be resolved that the town clerk be and she hereby is authorized and directed to issue the required permit, subject to the stipulations cited by the Chief of Police, the Elk Paws Fire District Number 2 Chief, and the Schenectady County Environmental Health Department.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pipelani?
Yes.
Councilman Luan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Capson?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 12, authorizing the town clerk to issue a required permit to conduct an outdoor entertainment for Thomas Corners and Yukon Fire Department. So I have a motion.
So moved.
For a second.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, whereas the code of the Town of Glenville, section 204-4 through 204-9, requires a permit for outdoor public exhibitions and entertainments. Whereas Thomas Corners Fire Department and Bucadal Fire Department have applied for a permit to sponsor the Gillette Shows Carnival to be held Schenectady County property located Airport Road and Route 50 on Tuesday, June 14th through Sunday, June 19th. Said application did include permission of the owner of the property on which said amusement entertainment will be conducted and the necessary insurance coverage. Be resolved by the Town Board of the Town of Glenville, said application of the Thomas Corners Fire Department, Bucadal Fire Department be hereby approved. Resolved that the town clerk be and she hereby is authorized and directed to issue the required permit said to subject to all stipulations cited by the Chief of Police, Schenectady County Health Department, and Thomas Corners Fire Department.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pipelani?
Yes.
Councilman Luan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Capson?
Yes, resolution passes. We have to give you the night off now, we've read a lot here. So, one more for you. Resolution 13, approving the monthly departmental reports for March 2016. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Monthly departments for March 2016, Assessment Department, Economic Development, Planning Department, Justice Department, Police Department, Dog Control, Receiver of Taxes, Section 8, in the Town Clerk's Office.
Any changes, questions, comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pipelani?
Yes.
Councilman Luan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Capson?
Yes, resolution passes. Last item on the agenda for the executive session is new business. I'll start by letting Councilman do it.
Mr. Supervisor, every business owner's nightmare is to have a fire at your facility. Dairy Circus was lost a couple nights ago, and I wish the family the best. And I'm sure if there's anything that they need, we'll be able to help them out.
Thank you. Councilwoman Wozzachowski.
And I'd like to mention in my report that I attended the Good News Luncheon last week. There was 2 Glenville and Scotia businesses recognized. Village Paint was recognized as a member of our community. They've been there for many, many years. And Gold Stock Sporting Goods was also recognized for, I believe, 129 years of continuous business. They started out in Schenectady, and I can remember going there as a kid to get ski boots and bindings and skis and poles and stuff, and they moved to Glenville a number of years ago, and so I had the honor of attending and having them be recognized.
Wow.
Village Paint's 50 years.
50, I thought it was 50.
129 years.
Was it still an all vegetarian lunch?
Jim, it was amazing. You should have been there. I'm not even gonna tell you what it was. It was delicious.
I was
It
gonna
was
ask,
scaled down.
were either of you at the ribbon cutting of Gold Stocks when it opened? Councilman Martin, any new business?
No new business, I'll just get you back.
Councilman Pipelani.
Yes, I would just like to echo to the great loss of Dairy Circus and certainly our concerns to the Cummins family and whatever they decide to do.
Same here. Seeing no other business, I will take a motion to go into executive session to discuss a potential legal issue. Any motion?
I'll move it.
Second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're in executive session.